Somewhere in your kitchen right now, you have food that will be gone in a week, maybe 2. After that, if the stores are empty, if the trucks stop running, if the power grid goes down, you are completely on your own. Most people never think about this until it's too late. But here's what almost nobody talks about. There are 5 foods sitting in warehouses and pantries right now that can last not months, not years, but up to 25 years when stored correctly. Foods that ancient civilizations survived on, foods that armies have relied on for centuries, and foods that most modern preppers completely overlook. Today, I'm going to show you exactly what they are, where to get them, and how to store them properly. Because when everything else runs out, these 5 foods could be the difference between your family eating and your family going hungry. Stay until food number 4. It surprises almost everyone. Welcome back to Grid Down Guide. If you're new here, this channel is about real survival preparation. No fluff, no fear-mongering, no $1,000 gear kits. Just the practical knowledge that actually keeps families safe when things go wrong. If you haven't already, hit subscribe and the notification bell. We post new content every single week, and you do not want to miss what's coming next. Now, let's talk about the 5 foods that could literally save your life. Food 1. White rice. The most underestimated survival food on Earth. I know what you're thinking. Rice? That's it? That's the big secret? Stay with me, because most people have no idea how extraordinary white rice actually is as a survival food. Stored properly in an airtight container with an oxygen absorber, white rice lasts up to 25 to 30 years. Not brown rice, white rice. Brown rice has oils in it that go rancid within 6 months. White rice has had those oils removed, which is exactly why it lasts so long. 1 pound of white rice contains roughly 1,600 calories. A 50-pound bag, which costs around $25 to $30, contains enough calories to feed 1 adult for over a month. That is the cheapest calorie per dollar survival food that exists. How to store it correctly? Transfer it into food-grade Mylar bags or airtight buckets. Add an oxygen absorber packet. You can get these online for almost nothing. Seal it. Label it with the date and store it somewhere cool and dark. Done. That bag of rice will outlive most of the appliances in your house. Food 2. Honey. The only food that literally never expires. In 1922, archaeologists opened an ancient Egyptian tomb and found sealed jars of honey that were over 3,000 years old. They tasted it. It was still good. Honey is the only natural food that does not expire, ever. Its unique chemical composition, low moisture, high sugar, naturally acidic, creates an environment where bacteria and mold simply cannot survive. It is nature's perfect preservative. For survival purposes, honey gives you 3 things: energy from its natural sugars, antibacterial properties that make it useful for treating wounds and infections when medical supplies run low, and a natural sweetener that makes difficult survival meals psychologically bearable, which matters more than most people realize after days of eating plain rice and beans. Buy raw, unprocessed honey in sealed jars or large buckets. Store it at room temperature, away from direct sunlight. If it crystallizes, that is completely normal. Just warm the jar gently and it returns to liquid. Your great-grandchildren could theoretically eat the honey you buy today. That is not an exaggeration. Food 3. Dried lentils. The most nutritionally complete survival food most people ignore. If white rice is the king of survival calories, dried lentils are the king of survival nutrition, and almost nobody talks about them. Lentils are packed with protein, fiber, iron, folate, and complex carbohydrates. Unlike rice, which gives you mainly calories, lentils give your body what it actually needs to stay strong and healthy during a prolonged crisis. Combined with rice, they form a complete protein, meaning together they provide all the essential amino acids your body cannot produce on its own. Stored in airtight containers with oxygen absorbers, dried lentils last 25 or more years. They're cheap. A pound costs less than $2 and provides around 1,500 calories. They cook faster than most other dried legumes, and they require nothing but water to prepare. Rice and lentils. Together, this combination has kept entire populations alive through famines, wars, and collapses throughout human history. There is a reason for that. Food 4. Salt. The one survival item people completely forget until they desperately need it. Here is the one that catches almost everyone off guard. Salt has no expiry date. None. Pure salt. Sodium chloride does not degrade, does not go stale, does not lose potency. A bag of salt bought today will be just as effective in 100 years as it is right now. But most people think of salt as just a flavoring. In a survival situation, salt becomes one of the most critical resources you can have for 3 reasons that have nothing to do with taste. First, your body needs sodium to survive. Severe sodium deficiency causes muscle cramps, confusion, seizures, and eventually death. Second, salt is the oldest food preservation method in human history. Before refrigeration existed, salt was how every civilization on Earth kept meat, fish, and vegetables from rotting. In a grid-down situation where your fridge is dead, salt becomes your refrigerator. Third, throughout history, salt was literally used as currency. Roman soldiers were partly paid in salt. That's where the word salary comes from. In a prolonged collapse, salt becomes an extremely valuable trading commodity. Stock up on large bags of plain iodized salt. It costs almost nothing, takes up almost no space, and lasts forever. This is the most overlooked item on any prepper list, and now you know why it belongs at the top. Food 5. Hard liquor. The survival item that doubles as medicine, currency, and morale. This last one surprises people, but hear me out, because this is not about drinking. Pure distilled spirits, vodka, whiskey, rum stored in sealed bottles last indefinitely. The high alcohol content kills virtually all bacteria and prevents any biological degradation. A sealed bottle of vodka bought today will be just as potent in 50 years. In a survival situation, alcohol serves 4 critical purposes. Medical, high-proof alcohol is one of the most effective wound disinfectants available. Fuel, alcohol can be used as a fuel source for certain stoves and fire starting. Barter, in any prolonged crisis, alcohol becomes one of the most sought-after trade goods, second only to food and water. And finally, morale. This sounds trivial until you're 3 weeks into a grid-down situation with a stressed family and no end in sight. Psychological resilience matters enormously in survival, and small comforts have a measurable impact on people's ability to keep functioning under pressure. Store a few sealed bottles of high-proof spirits. They take up very little space, cost very little, and serve an extraordinary number of purposes in a real emergency. 5 foods: white rice, honey, dried lentils, salt, and hard liquor. Simple, affordable, and available at any grocery store today. They cover calories, nutrition, preservation, medicine, and trade. That is a survival foundation that has kept human beings alive through the worst moments in history. Now, here's what I want you to do. Before this week is over, go and buy at least one of these items and add it to your prep stock. Not all 5, just one. Start somewhere, because the time to prepare is always before the crisis, not during it. If this video helped you, please hit the like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people who need this information. Subscribe to Grid Down Guide if you haven't already, and share this with someone you care about who isn't prepared yet. Next week, we're covering what actually happens to your city in the first 72 hours of a grid failure, and most people are completely blindsided by the data shows. You're going to want to see that one. Stay prepared. I'll see you in the next video.